This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
This week, you could say our glass isn't just half full, it's overflowing with all things glass. Welcome to Family Life Staycations, a summertime feature where we highlight great places to visit around the Family Life listing area. I'm Mark Webster, and this week we're off to CMOG, the Corning Museum of Glass in Corning, New York. If you've been to CMOG, you may well recognize the sound of the Rhodes marble machine that sits in the museum's extensive gift shop. Its mesmerizing clanging a favorite with young and old, and so is the museum itself, where Beth Duane is the Chief Marketing and Visitor Experience Officer.
Tell me a bit about the founding of the museum. Corning's got quite a bit of name recognition. You go outside of this area and you say Corning, people probably would think Corning glass.
Well, in 1951, Corning Incorporated was celebrating their 100th anniversary. And true to form with how the corporation is always giving to their community, they wanted to give a gift to the world, not just the community or the nation. And they founded the Corning Museum of Glass at that time, truly as a gift to the world on their 100th birthday.
And certainly a rich history to display. Give us a little bit of an idea. It's not just a go and stare at old pieces of glass experience. There's a lot of hands-on.
That's the best part, I believe, about the museum is experience. Many guests arrive really not knowing what is a glass museum. One of the most uttered phrases today is, "I had no idea." And that truly sums up the depth and breadth of what one will experience when they come to the museum. Of course, we have the history of glass dating back 3,500 years to present. But there's also the artistic and glassmaking experience where people can watch and interact with live glassblowing demonstrations all day, every day. There's the science and technology of glass, and I think that's probably the most unexpected area of the museum experience. Is one is not thinking that they're going to see or learn about the innovations in glass, and yet we have all of that. And then to your point, you can get really hands-on with glass, not only in various interactives and various galleries, but also we have a dedicated space and workshop, if you will, where guests can make their own glass. And it's our Make Your Own Glass workshop. And you can do one of these glass experiences if you're 2 years old or 92 years old.
Yeah, a thing that most people wouldn't experience in life if they couldn't do it here. Let's talk about the history a little bit more. Going back 3,500 years, what are some of the more interesting points along that part of the museum that people...
For me, it's still hard. I've been with the museum quite a long time, and it's still hard for me to wrap my head around how one would even invent working with glass and glass making, let alone the evolution. 2,000 years ago is when it was a really pivotal moment in the history of glass, when glass blowing was invented, and that's when you started seeing larger scale vessels like jars and drinking vessels being made because of glass blowing.
Something we just take so for granted. It's always existing.
It's true. And to go back to the science and technology, I think that's one of the reasons I really appreciate the innovation galleries being a part of visitors' experience, because it conveys, or perhaps it gets one to stop and reflect or think about how glass truly has changed the way we live today. There never used to be glass windows. There never used to be glass bottles. Things that we take for granted day in and day out, let alone the thin glass on these mobile devices that we know and love and are attached to so much. And then I always bring up that optical fiber is glass. Optical fiber connects the world. And imagine going through the pandemic in an unconnected world.
All right, let's just delve a little bit more into the hands-on part. I think glass blowing, glass making, I think heat. It's It's going to be hot.
You're correct.
Well, how hot do you have to be to make glass?
I'm no expert,
Rough.
but you need to have glass at least like 1,000 degrees or hotter to be able to work with it. Mm-hmm. But the reheating furnaces, they're at 2,300 degrees. So it gets really hot. Mm-hmm. The team of artists that we have at the museum, they make it look so simple mm-hmm. and so beautiful and very engaging because the demonstrations, Mark, are narrated as well. So you as a member of the audience, if you have a question, mm-hmm. you can just shout out your question and the narrator will gladly answer. They're an encyclopedia of knowledge. They tell me that you do build up a bit of a resistance working around that heat all day, every day in your career. I, for one, don't understand how that could be, but it's great because you kind of get a taste of the glass experience watching these demonstrations, and then again, you can come and try to make it yourself, and that's where certainly an appreciation for their talents grow because what they make look very simple is in fact quite complex.
Yeah, it's a neat marriage of science and artistry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we, with the expansion of the studio, we have many more experiences available, and we've been able to expand the breadth of what we offer. So you can still, blow a glass ornament or sandblast a glass, but you can also engrave in glass. And that's a really nice ode to the history of Corning as the Crystal City and the engraving that comes with that history. And then what I love is we call them in-depth experiences, and you truly are working with that hot molten glass, of course, alongside a very talented instructor. Mm-hmm. But you are creating a vase or a drinking vessel or a beautiful bowl with that instructor. You definitely get a feel for the glass that way.
Tell me a little bit more about the studio. That's where we are right now, mm-hmm. upstairs. Is it a more recent addition?
The studio was about a third of the footprint of this building that we're in right now, so it's expanded to well over 100,000 square feet. The studio houses not only the make your own glass that we've been speaking of, but also glass classes. Mm-hmm. So you can be a novice and take some beadworking course over a weekend or a series of weeks, one day, one night a week, or you can immerse yourself in more beginner to advanced classes that are 1 or 2 weeks in length. And we have instructors and students that come from all over the world to Corning.
So we kind of sum it up a little bit. When somebody walks in the doors of the museum, what do you hope they come out with?
Well, there's a few things. First of all, before you even walk in the door, we want to make sure that you feel that this is an accessible place. And one may think that kids and glass don't go together, but I challenge that. Families find quickly that kids and glass do go together, and they're actually quite fascinated by it. And one of the ways that we signal this to our potential visitors is by offering free admission every day of the year for ages 17 and under. So we try to keep it a very affordable family experience. And then when you enter the doors, that's when there's like this aha moment, because it's just a much larger scale building and campus than maybe one would expect. And then just the Houghton family, who was running then Corning Glassworks when the museum was founded, they had shared to treat every person who walks through the door as their guest. It's like you're inviting them into your home. And so the associates who service and care for our guests are not called visitor services, they're called guest services, because we want you to feel welcomed right from the start. And then the hope is that you immerse yourself in a really fun and memorable experience that you share with your loved ones, and that you can carry through with memories along the way, and that you leave learning and understanding more about glass than you knew, what you knew from the start.
I got to mention the gift shop too. It is a huge gift shop, and it's got quite an array of things from low price to
yes,
pretty fancy stuff.
The shops at the Corning Museum of Glass We are actually among the top 10 museum stores in the nation because it does have a large footprint, a large square footage dedicated to it. What's nice is that is something for everyone, varying price points, as you mentioned, from the $5 trinket, if you will, or souvenir, to handmade artisan works that are one of a kind and command the price tag that goes along with that. I think it's important to share that one does not need to purchase an admission ticket to shop at the Corning Museum of Glass or to eat in our cafe. We actually have our admission tickets good for 2 consecutive days because we found that many didn't plan enough time, not really knowing what to expect. And so they're able to do some of the experience and see the museum on one day and come back the next to complete their tour and their experience.
Last question then, website if you want to learn more.
CMOG.org, www.cmog.org.
That's Beth Duane with the Corning Museum of Glass in Corning, New York. And this has been Family Life Staycations, a weekly summertime feature highlighting great places to visit around the Family Life listening area. Please join us again next time as we hit the road again for another Family Life Staycation.
Come on!
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.